African, we're innovative. That is the theme of the My World of Tomorrow 2015 conference. And it's a fitting theme because in Africa we make our own innovations. We don't rely on the rest of the world. I'm here with Andy Brauer, Chief Technology Officer at Business Connexion, to find out his views on sustainable energy. Andy, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So tell us, the sustainable energy, this is a thing now. What is this term that we've kind of all come to use?
It's quite interesting. Sustainable energy has been around for many years. We used to plant trees, chop the tree down, replant a tree, but use the wood. That's sustainable energy. The same comes down for anything that you can renew. We can use the sun's energy, we can use wind, we can use hydroelectric energy. That's all sustainable energy because it does not get depleted. When we look at coal, we look at fossil fuels, that can be depleted. Those are not sustainable energies.
So sustainable is something that we can kind of put back and kind of keep on reusing without depleting.
You can
replenish it. Now there's a difference between batteries and fuel cells. There's a lot of kind of these terms flying around. What are they?
Yeah, so both batteries and fuel cells do provide us with electricity. However, at the same time, both of them are chemical reactions. But the fundamental difference is that a battery, you charge your battery, it's charged, you can disconnect it and walk around with the battery. A fuel cell, on the other hand, is a chemical reaction that you provide fuel. That's why they call it a fuel cell. As long as you're providing fuel to the fuel cell, it'll give you electricity. That's the fundamental difference between a battery and a fuel cell.
But now we've got this thing called green energy versus clean energy. Again, another kind of terms which people are intermixing. Is it right? Is it wrong? What is green energy? What is clean energy?
I think you can comb them both with the same comb. However, I think the green energy has come from the Greenpeace movement, which is really focusing on the CO2 emissions that they want to reduce, which is actually polluting the atmosphere a lot in that. A lot of the CO2 and green cars that we've seen in that actually are not that clean. And what I mean by that, maybe the end process is clean, but the manufacturing process to get there is not that clean. When I talk about clean energy itself, it means the whole process needs to be clean, not bad and harmful for the environment. And that's really the difference between clean and green.
So the process from start to finish?
Start to finish must be clean, not harmful to the environment. And that's really the clean energy.
So now we've got, everyone's talking about the electric cars, of the next wave of, hopefully we'll stop using those fuels into our air. Is that the next big wave? Is that something that we should be looking at? Is South Africa looking at going that route?
Definitely. I think if you look at all the car manufacturers, I think they've slated 2016 as the year that they all start actually producing electric vehicles. I think there's a few challenges. Some of the cars are using hydrogen, so they need to put hydrogen fuel pumps in all over the place if they want to get that done, like they are doing in California. In the other aspect, you've got the electric batteries that they're extending the life, Elon Musk's in that. Then you've also got the fuel cell component as well, which, and I think the three of these will have a nice competitive blend going forward as they battle for the market share. But yes, definitely, I think we will see more and more of this taking place and then going into reality.
I suppose as the world population grows and more people are moving into these metropolitan areas, one of the first things that people buy is a car. Once you kind of move up the poverty line and you come into the middle class, the first purchase to show that you've arrived is a vehicle. And we can't have the same situation that we're currently having with our roads being absolutely congested. During the My World of Tomorrow conference, we've now got the eco-mobility, where they've closed off the whole of Sandton to try and see what effect that will have. So that has to be the future, where as more of us are moving into those big cities. And I suppose everybody benefits, is that the government benefits, the country benefits, and the environment benefits.
Yes, you're right. There is a program which is actually being run by the CSR, which is known as grid cars. So typically, we buy a big car, you buy a 4x4, and you drive around town. That's not very economical, because you want to use the 4x4 when you go to the bush. So the concept of grid cars is really to use a small car, which you can rent, maybe a Google car to drive around with in town, which is efficient. If you're going on a long trip, you rent a car. If you're going to the bush, you rent a car. So the whole Google car, rent a car, drive a car scenario, I think, is something which will pan out in the future as well. So the ownership of cars might change.
And the way we already see the millennials looking at car ownership very, very differently, the on-demand economy, press a button and an Uber comes to your door, and they don't seem to have a problem with that. So I suppose maybe we do have a bright future to look forward to.
Absolutely. I think it's the who's setting the benchmark and who's changing the dynamics. And yes, there's new ways of doing things. Economics plays a big part in that, and the bottom line that it's in your pocket plays a big part.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.